for me, about a big part about building credibility is the willingness to share why you start a business, where you've gained your experience, share your story of, you know, the purpose, the vision, where the business is going. And I think it's super important nowadays, particularly in the last 2 years. We've all been forced to do business through a screen. So some people might think, oh yay, don't have to turn up personally, don't have to have that conversation, and they might choose to use their website or their pages, and they're not there themselves. And so, you know, what we know, our business owners want to know that we are real, that that we are who we say we are. Right?
So I think you know, you're touching on authenticity there, which definitely builds, I guess, a relationship, whether that's kind of real or digital.
Yeah.
But that authenticity absolutely builds a relationship. But certainly in, I guess, building credibility, you know, you've got to do shit.
Yeah. You turn up.
Credibility is around, you know, what is your resume?
Yeah.
What is your track record? What have you done that builds that? Whether there was success at the end of that journey or not. You know, what were the lessons learned? And then behind that is coming back and tying it back into what you're saying is how do you communicate that? So how do you communicate those journeys, the lessons that you've had? So if you want credibility, you know, you need to go out and do as much as you can in that kind of space, wherever you're at. Document that. You know, work out, you know, what are the reference points? You know, who are the referrals, third-party references, and how can you communicate that?
Yeah, and that, you know, one of those ways you can do this through video. You know, we do lives all the time talking about what we know about business, hence why we're here. I want to touch on really briefly, you spoke about the resume, and I don't want our business owners who are listening and watching this to feel that, oh, well, I don't have this qualification. You know, when you, I think a really important
Join the club.
piece. Yeah, same. A really important piece. When you go to sell your business, is your buyer interested whether you've got a degree, an MBA, certificates, qualifications? They want to know, what have you done in the business? What systems have you got? What contracts have you got? What success? What profitability? What turnover? All those things. So when we speak about resume, and from a business context, you as a business owner, that's where we're coming from.
A resume is not a qualification, and a qualification is not a resume.
No.
So, you know, what we're talking about is actually, I look at a resume as a documentation of what you have done.
Yeah.
And so, you know, whatever field you're in, and if you've gone and started a business, you've done that because you're interested in maybe you build up some skill set. So now it's about going back and documenting what has brought you to this point. Now, if you've just woken up today with something new in your head and that's what you want to go and do, well, if you want to build credibility, you're going to have to go and do a lot of stuff to build that track record there.
Yep.
You know, and so I think this actually ties into something he's talked about a lot around the imposter syndrome.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so, you know, that by going back and looking and documenting what it is you've done, what your track record is, what gives you experience, actually can help counteract that. Like if you're there feeling unsure, and I think actually let's go back. I mean, you guys would attest to this. If we go back to like you know, early days of Navigate, and we're sitting there and we're filming some of the stuff, and I've always felt very uncomfortable until we actually getting into the nitty-gritty of talking about business, and then I get into my flow, and then, you know, everyone say, oh, you know, just carry on doing that, because what it is, you know, necessarily, you know, putting a video out and communicating and whatever is not necessarily my comfortable bit.
No.
But as soon as we go back into what I've spent my life building my resume up on, is actually the doing. So we're getting into how do you run a business, how do you start a business, how do you employ people, how do you go do all of these things, how do you increase profits, how do you find partners, how do you find investment, all of those things that I've spent 30 odd years doing. then I actually get, you get
Into
a
the flow.
comfortable bit.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say is if you want to build credibility, go back to what is it that you've done, so then you can start to communicate down that channel.
Yes.
Because even if you're not comfortable communicating, once you get into that flow state,
so the thing you're passionate about,
yes. It does come a lot easier, and I think that counteracts imposter syndrome.
I agree.
Because you either know or you don't.
Indeed. And to take that to the next level, like you just mentioned there, you might have people who are listening or watching this who are brand new in business. So, they're going to have some business, some experience in the technical of whatever they're going to take to their business. And what we know is super vital to building your credibility is sharing your expertise. Be the expert. This is not necessarily something about, well, I'm the expert, so you don't pay me. I'm the expert, so I'm sharing some of the, you look at our blogs and you look at all the things that we do here. These are all us willing to share our expertise to give you the comfort to know, actually, we know what we're talking about. And it's real.
The runs are on the board.
The runs are on the board. So, the people who are watching and listening to this is something that you've really got to get comfortable doing, is do that skills check and that check-in of what you've done in the past. But what are you going to do for the future? And this also ties into your one-page business plan, because the one-page business plan can give your prospects, whoever they are, whether they're financiers, customers, suppliers, whoever, these guys have actually got a goal and a plan, and I can see from the areas of expertise they're sharing that they have the capacity to do this, because all those things tie in together. So I think credibility is not just looking at what you've done in the past and sharing that. What is your future plans? What are your goals, and how do they tie in? I think that's a really important piece as well.
Yeah. And also, just bringing depth. Bringing depth, like, again, knowing, like, there's certain industry. Let's define again about the qualifications and qualification versus a resume. Like, there's certain businesses that you might be in, or a practice that you might be in, that the qualification is pretty vital. Like,
you need
if you're an MD, or a financial planner, for example, is one, you need that.
Absolutely.
But to get the very, very best out of your profession, what you're doing, you need to build the resume behind that. The qualification's not enough. It's an entry point.
It's your ticket to get into the industry.
Now, conversely, if you're in business that doesn't necessarily require a qualification, going and spending all your time on an MBA and all of that stuff, your customer doesn't care about that.
No.
So really think about, where do I need a qualification versus where do I need to be building up my historical data of what I have achieved in the marketplace, not in the classroom.
No, indeed. And classrooms have a place, but if you're going to go down that path, you've really got to look at it. Well, what can I implement out of it? What am I going to learn? Is it relevant to my business, the industry I am in, etc.? But you're dead right. It's the actions. It's the performance of the business, and it's the performance of you. Yes.
So let's get actionable here. Like, if you're new in business and you've started this up, perhaps you're looking to build up that credibility within there. What are the things that you can do? Well, like, I know from some of the businesses that I've started, like, when you've got a fresh product, what it is get people to go out and trial the product, give some of the product away, or in a big one of the businesses I started, the average selling price of the product was $200,000. So you're not going to give those away, but you sure can trial. You sure can say, hey, here, go and use this for a week or something like that, or a few days, and so, and give us the feedback. If I give this to you, go and do this particular job with this product, will you, and for no charge, will you give me some reference that I can then go and use in my marketing? So get it out there, or go and provide the service. If you're a service provider, offer your service free of charge to start to build the resume, but make sure that you're communicating what it is, the benefit that person's getting from it.
Yeah. And so what sits all behind that, and what a lot of new business owners don't give the attention to, is brand. So brand is super important for credibility of you as a person and you as the business owner. When you start talking about your business and putting it out on social media or websites and landing pages, if everything looks different, the logo's not quite the same, color palette's different, that creates, and you may not be, even your users may not be aware, but it creates a bit of questioning in their brains to go, oh, these people actually serious? Are they for real? Like, it all looks different.
Yeah.
And so this can be a really simple fix. Like, there's some great platforms out there to help you build your brand really efficiently. And so what I also want everybody to bear in mind, it does not have to be perfect. Like, our brand is constantly evolving, and that's okay.
You've got to keep looking at it. That's part of being a business owner, is maintaining all this stuff over time. None of it's set and forget.
No.
Like, credibility is not set and forget. You've got to keep building that.
Keep building it.
You know, branding again really backs up that credibility. Well, certainly, hey, everyone says don't judge a book by its cover, but the reality is, as consumers, that's what happens. And so your brand is the first part of that credibility for sure.
And of course, if somebody sees your brand on Facebook, for example, then they go to your website or they go to YouTube or LinkedIn or whatever, what you want them to think is, oh, I've seen that brand before. This is something I'm familiar with, and that's what you want. And that's how you'll get that when you're consistent with your brand. So your brand is not just a pretty logo and a fancy website and maybe a couple of social media pages. It's how you speak it, the colours you use, the images that you use, and all. There's so many layers to brand. So we could go down a whole rabbit hole of that. But just bear in mind, the credibility piece does hang off the consistency of your brand, and it's super important, but an easy fix, indeed.
So get your brand sorted and go and do some shit, document it and communicate it.
I think you've summarised that super well.
Well, maybe I've done it before.
I think you might have. So what do we got? Oh, today we have a free tutorial. So for those of you who are, want some more from us.
This wasn't enough. You need a bit more to get you through the day.
This is about, if you want, you should be always reviewing your prices, but how do you put them up and still hang on to your customers? There's a lot of, dis-ease in people's minds when they're thinking about, upping my prices, I might drive my customers away. Actually, it's not the case. So jump in today at 1 p.m. Queensland time.
Destroy those limiting beliefs.
Get rid of it.
Come and join us 1 o'clock. Australian Eastern Standard Time.
Yes.
And if you're going to sign up, jump into navigatebiz.com. That's navigatebiz.com. And hopefully we see you there.
Yeah, awesome.
And don't forget to jump into YouTube, please. 1,000 subscribers is the target.
Yeah.
Jump into YouTube, help us get to 1,000 subscribers. So jump in there, press subscribe, and even better still, press the little bell icon so you get notifications.
When we're here. All right.
Okay.
Have a good one. We will
see you
on Tuesday. Have a good one.